sources only. Some viewers might find this disturbing. To say life on their 300-acre farm was busy was a gross understatement. It was exhausting. Hal and Joe Rogers spent excruciatingly long hours working their Northwest Ohio farm for nearly every day of their adult lives. They were a hard-working family, to say the least. Hal and Joe were high school sweethearts who married just a few months after graduation and immediately started a family. Michelle was born first. 3 years later came Christe. As the years passed, they gave the girls chores on the farm, such as working in the barn, looking after the cows. Christe was a daddy's girl and followed her father around the farm as often as she could. Although the young girls grew up loving life on the farm, over the years, the day in, day out, monotony and hard work wore on their mother, Joe. Hal owned and worked the farm jointly with his younger brother, Joan, who lived in a small trailer on the same property. I love how all of the family members live on the same farm or property or whatever. That's so cute. When I worked at my last job, I had to deliver cards, and I just went way off, but anyway. But there was this person that I delivered the card to, and it was so many acres, and on all of those acres they had a farm, and all of their family members lived on those acres, and I just thought that was so cute. And they had a trailer, like a RV, and everything. It was so cute and inspiring. So that just reminded me of that. But anyway, let's not get sidetracked. But John was a little odd. He wore military fatigues and often told tall tales of his non-existent work with the CIA and Secret Service. In March 1988, however, John was accused of rape by a woman that lived with him in his trailer. The woman told police he wore a mask, bound her arms with handcuffs, blindfolded her, and ordered her while holding a knife to her throat. Although he wore a mask, she told police she recognized his voice. She also said that he had videotaped the assault. When detectives entered the trailer with a warrant, they found a briefcase with a videotape of the assault, just as the woman had claimed. The briefcase contained more than just the rape video. I keep saying the word. However, detectives found photos of Michelle, who was 16 at the time. She was naked, blindfolded, and her hands and feet were bound with rope. They also found audio tapes of Michelle screaming for John, her uncle, to let her go. I must have missed that part. I didn't know. That was his niece. Wait a minute. When confronted, Michelle confirmed the assault and told police that John had been assaulting her for more than 2 years. He told her he would kill her if she ever told anyone. Before Hall knew about Michelle's accusations, he had promised his brother that he would post his $10,000 bond, but despite posting the bond, the news destroyed the Rogers family. Hall and John's mother refused to believe her granddaughter. What? And stood by her son John. See, I hate when family members enable a particular guy in their freaking importantly, I hate when a woman says she's been hard raped and no one believes her. Like, that pisses me off too. Initially, John denied the assaults. Of course he did. Michelle was embarrassed and traumatized and had no intention of testifying against him. She was probably scared because he said he would kill her if she ever testified again, or if she ever told anyone. So she probably didn't want to see him. She just wanted it all to go away. In the end, she didn't need to testify. John pleaded guilty to raping, I said it, the first woman, and was sentenced to 7 to 25 years in prison. What if this story is a plot twist? What if Michelle ended up killing John instead of the other way around? It might be a plot twist. Okay. With the rape of his daughter, I just keep saying the word, and the loss of the relationship with his mother and brother, Hall fell into a deep depression. He became despondent and would sometimes disappear for days at a time, locking himself in his brother's trailer. The small town gossip weighed on the entire family. Oh. Oh my god. Okay, I recognize someone. I heard about this story because I recognized someone. I don't know her name, but the following year, Joe and the girls thought it would be good to get away for a while. Hall couldn't leave the farm, but at least the 3 girls could get a respite from the small town. Michelle and Christe had never had a real vacation. They had never even left the state of Ohio. Even Joe had only left the state once for her and Hall's honeymoon to spend a night in a hotel in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Dang. They haven't seen anything. Oh my god. Okay, I think I know. I heard of this case. The 3 girls planned a trip to Florida where they could leave behind the gossip, the farm, the counselors, and the detectives. They wanted to meet Mickey Mouse and go to every theme park they could think of to please their inner child. That's so cute. What they really needed was some sunshine and sand in between their toes. We all can use some of that. Although none of them even knew how to swim, they needed to feel the warm ocean waters. Just a week away would do a world of good, they thought. Michelle's only hesitation was being away from her boyfriend Jeff Feasby. Although they had only been dating for less than a month, she was smitten and they spoke on the phone every night. Jeff had heard rumors of Michelle's troubles with her uncle, but he didn't know the details. He didn't care to know. It was her own business and she clearly didn't want to talk about it. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet how he respects her past, or what she went through. I'm not gonna say her past. Although they were only leaving for a week, Michelle and Jeff's final goodbye was emotional for the young couple. They kissed on their front porch while 14-year-old Christe watched. Still, all 3 of the women were excited to get started on their journey and pack the car the night before the trip. At the break of dawn on May 26, 1989, they left Wilshire, Ohio, and headed south. The first day of driving was both exhausting yet exciting. Joe was known for driving fast, and Michelle had only recently got her driver's license, so Joe drove most of the way. The first night they stayed in a hotel just across the Georgia border, then continued on to their first stop to the next day, Jacksonville, Florida. We just talked about Jacksonville, Florida in my last video. After a day at Jacksonville Zoo, they everything with you? I'm doing great. Yesterday we went to the zoo in Jacksonville. I was visiting my relatives and we found Jeffrey, you. Later we went to Silver Springs and rode on a glass bottom boat. Today we are going to a beach and then to SeaWorld. You have fun at work and behave yourself. Have a great birthday. I'll be thinking of you. I miss you. Love you, Shell. Okay, I don't mean to sound ignorant, but I want to know what a postcard looks like. Y'all forgive me. I was born in 97, so I have no idea what a postcard is. If you ever sent a postcard to someone, comment down below. Postcard from the 80s. Oh, somebody Google what is a postcard from hell. From the 1980s. Ooh. Someone has a whole Etsy shop. Okay. This is what a postcard looks like. If you've never seen one, I don't remember ever seeing a postcard, but I might have just never paid attention to it. Okay, yeah, a postcard. Okay, let's get back to the story. The girls had no intentions of slowing down. I know that's right. The following days, they went to SeaWorld, Epcot Center, and Disney's Hollywood Studios. By Thursday, they were ready to explore the big side of Florida and headed to Tampa. They really vacated. Just another noon. Just afternoon. What? Just afternoon. The three girls checked into their hotel overlooking Tampa Bay and snapped a few photos as they unpacked their suitcases. Michelle called Jeff for his birthday while Joe and Christe looked at brochures they had picked up in their hotel's lobby. The Busch Gardens brochure seemed promising. Joe called Busch Gardens for more information and wrote directions on the brochure so they could go the next day. That evening, the three girls were seen having dinner in the hotel restaurant. However, this was the last time they were seen alive. Joe and the girls were due back at the farm that Sunday, June 4th. Joe was scheduled for work and Michelle's summer school started on Monday, but there was no sign of them. Hal hadn't heard a word. That same Sunday morning, a sailboat was passing under the Sunshine Skyway Bridge where Tampa Bay opens into the Gulf of Mexico. As the boat lumbered toward the Gulf, the captain noticed something floating in the water. He slowed the boat and it gradually became clear that the floating object was a body. The captain of the boat called the Coast Guard to report what they had found. It was the body of a female. She was floating face down and naked below the waist. Both her legs and feet were bound with yellow rope. The same type of yellow rope was tying her neck to something beneath the water, partially weighing her down. The Coast Guard, however, couldn't lift the object that was tied around her neck. They cut the rope, let the object sink, and lifted the body aboard. As they headed toward the marina, another call came in. Someone had found a second body. Not far north of the first body was another similar sight. A female face down, bound with the same type of yellow rope and naked below the waist. A rope around her neck was tied to a large object beneath the water. Minutes after finding the second body, another call came in of a third body. When the Coast Guard retrieved the bodies, they realized that all three had been weighed down by a large concrete block tied to the rope around their necks. The bloating caused by decomposition, however, had caused the bodies to float to the surface despite the heavy weight. also gagged with duct tape over their mouths. Although decomposition had made it difficult to determine with certainty if they had been SA, the fact that they were all naked from the waist down seemed to point to that conclusion. There were no defensive wounds and no evidence that a knife or weapon was used against them. However, the evidence indicated that they had been alive. Oh God, I couldn't imagine. Oh my goodness. They had been alive when they entered the water, with the concrete tied around their necks. Oh my God. Although Judd had barely known Michelle's father, he repeatedly called Hal at the farm, asking if he had heard from them. Both of them were getting worried. Hal had called Joe's friend and relatives, but nobody had heard a word. By Wednesday, the girls were 3 days late, and Hal had worked himself into a panic. He went to the bank to withdraw $7,000 in cash with a plan to hire a private plane. He thought he could search the route from Ohio to Florida from the air. Although the Rogers party was due to check out of their hotel almost a week prior, the maid at the Tampa Days Inn noticed the suitcases had moved from room 251. The beds had never been slept in. The soaps were still wrapped in paper, and a purse lay on the table. Each day she walked in to clean the room, nothing had been touched. The news of the 3 female bodies was on the television news in Tampa every night. On Thursday, June 8th, the hotel management called the police. When detectives arrived, they thoroughly examined the room. Fingerprints lifted from a tube of toothpaste matched fingerprints from one of the bodies. Using the hotel registration, they were able to identify the female victims as the Rogers girls. Hal Rogers had already been in a deep depression, dealing with the rape of his daughter by his brother. When the local sheriff told him of the rape and murder of his wife and both daughters, it was more than he could handle. Television cameras and reporters were at his door almost immediately after the news became public. He fell apart emotionally but kept working. The farm still needed to be run. Police found the Rogers car parked near the Courtney Campbell Parkway at the boat ramp, just a few miles from their hotel. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Christe's stuffed cow toy was still stuck to the back window with suction cups. On the front seat, police found a sheet from a Days Inn notepad where Joe had written directions to the boat ramp. Quote, turn right west on 60, 2.5 miles. On right side, alternate before bridge. Below that was, quote, blue with the white. It appeared that someone had given them instructions to the boat ramp. Detectives assumed they were told to look for a blue and white boat. Also, on the front seat of the car was a brochure for Clearwater Beach, Florida. Written at the bottom of the brochure were directions back to their hotel. The handwriting on the brochure, however, wasn't the same as the handwriting on the Days Inn notepaper. Someone other than Joe had written it. During their investigation, detectives learned of Michelle's R by her uncle. Although John Rogers was in prison at the time, police needed to eliminate the possibility that John had mother. All Rogers was having trouble making sense of his life. The constant badgering by news crews drove him crazy. To cope, he kept working on his farm. At the funeral, he fought back the urge to punch his own mother. He couldn't believe she had the nerve to show up at her granddaughter's funeral after calling her a liar and saying she had made up the R charge. While the entire congregation sobbed, Hal was more angry than sad. He was mad at his mother, mad at God, mad at the killer. He sat behind his tinted glasses, silently showing no emotion. After the funeral, he went straight back to working the farm. And I'm just picturing all of this in my head, like, I can't really blame him for how he feels because he has every right to be angry. I would be angry too. Detectives took notice of Hal's behavior and, for a brief time, considered him a possible suspect. It seemed suspicious that he had paid his brother's $10,000 bond after his arrest. Then, just days after the murders, he made a $7,000 cash withdrawal from the bank. His actions definitely raised questions, but in the end, Hal was able to account for the cash he withdrew, and police confirmed he had never left the state of Ohio. Investigators used a forensic handwriting expert to analyze the brochure they found in the Rogers car. They knew it wasn't any of the girls' handwriting. Right away, the examiner noticed two unique characteristics about the handwriting. The person who wrote the note had a peculiar habit of capitalizing T's in the middle of the words. There were also 4 Y's in the note, each written in a different style. The brochure was also analyzed for fingerprints. There were several fingerprints on the brochure, but all belonged to the Rogers girls. Only one print was unidentified, a partial palm print, but until detectives had a suspect to match it to, the print was useless. Hundreds of tips came in from the public throughout Florida, but one in particular seemed to be relevant. A 24-year-old woman named Judy Blair was visiting from Canada and told police she was approached by a man just 2 weeks before the murders in the same area. The man offered to take her out for a sunset cruise on his blue and white boat. Once they were out in the open water and away from other boats, the man essayed her. Judy told police he had approached her one evening at a 7-Eleven store. He was a white male in his mid-30s with reddish blonde hair, about 5'10" and 180 pounds. She mentioned he was friendly and drove a dark-colored Jeep Cherokee with tinted windows. He took her out on a sunset cruise, but once the sun had set, he tried to have sex with her. When she refused, he got angry and attacked her. He screamed at her, quote, "What are you doing? Nobody's going to hear you. What are you going to do? Jump out of the boat. Is sex something worth losing your life over?" End quote. She pleaded with him, telling him that she was a virgin, but that seemed to excite him more. Once he was finished, the man seemed to have immediate regret for his actions and apologized for what he had done. Quote, "I've taken something from you that you can never get back," end quote. He told her before vomiting over the edge of the boat. As he drove the boat toward the shore, he threw up several more times. The man took her camera, pulled the film out, and threw it overboard. When the boat reached the shoreline, he spared her life and let her swim to safety. Judy told police that he had completely removed her shorts and bikini bottoms during the R, just like how the Rogers girls were found. She said she noticed rope on the boat that was similar to the rope used in the murders, and he had threatened to tape her mouth with duct tape. television news, printed in the newspapers, and used for posters distributed through the area. More and more tips poured in, but most were dead ends. Over 3 years had passed since the murders. Investigators believed their best hope was the unique handwriting on the brochure that was left in the car. Maybe if they released it to the public, someone would recognize it. That's smart. Police placed 5 billboards throughout the Tampa area near the boat ramp. The billboards featured a large image of the handwriting and asked the question, quote, "Who wrote these directions?" End quote. It was a long shot, but they hoped for the best. The day after the billboards went up, Joan Steffi did a double take. Her heart skipped a beat when she realized that she knew the handwriting. She had just seen the composite sketch of the suspect in the morning's paper and rushed home to look again. The description of the suspect seemed to match a neighbor that lived just 2 doors down. 43-year-old Opa Chandler was an aluminum siding contractor that had done some work on her house. He was married and had 8 children from 7 different women. As she read the story in the paper, everything seemed to fit together. His reddish blonde hair fit the description, as did his size and weight. He resembled the composite sketch. He drove a dark blue Jeep Cherokee, and his house backed into a canal where he had his own boat. I don't know where I got did from. A blue and white boat. The canal he lived on led to the bay, just a mile from the boat ramp. Joan then remembered that she still had the invoice Chandler had written for the work he had done. When she looked at the handwriting on the invoice, she noticed right away that he had the habit of capitalizing his T's in the middle of a word. She immediately called police. See, you never know. Albert Chandler was born in 1946 and had grown up in Cincinnati, Ohio. When he was 5 years old, one of his brothers died. His father never recovered from the loss. 5 years later, his father hanged himself in the basement of their home. According to one of his cousins, Opa jumped into the grave. As the grave digger shoveled the dirt over the coffin, he stomped the dirt with each shovelful. In his early teenage years, Opa was arrested for stealing cars. By the time he reached 18, he had been arrested 20 times. Throughout his adult life, he constantly found trouble. He had been charged with loitering, burglary, possession of counterfeit currency, armed robbery, and kidnapping. In one instance, he was caught masturbating as he looked through the ground floor window of a woman's home. On another occasion, he had an accomplice robbed a Florida couple's home. He tied the man up and made the woman take off her clothes. He tormented her by slowly rubbing his gun across her naked stomach. Albert Chandler was arrested on September 24th, 1992. When placed in a police lineup without hesitation, Judy Blair identified him as the man that had harmed her. Additionally, samples of his handwriting were analyzed and matched the handwriting on the brochure exactly. The palm print on the brochure also matched his left palm print. While building the case against Chandler, detectives gathered ship-to-shore phone records from the night of the rape and the night of the murders. On both occasions, he placed phone calls to his wife that put him in the location of the crimes during the times that they happened. At trial, Opa Chandler was advised by his lawyers to not testify in his defense, but he did so anyway. He insisted that he met the Rogers girls, gave them directions, and never saw them again, except in the newspapers and the billboards. He claimed that he was in the Coast Guard for help, but ended up fixing the problem himself. During the trial, Judy Blair flew down from Canada to testify that Chandler had assaulted her on his boat just 2 weeks before the Rogers murders. A former employee of Chandler's testified that the morning after the murders, Chandler boasted that he dated 3 women on the bay the night before. Stupid. 2 of Chandler's daughters and his son-in-law all testified against him. His daughter, Crystal Sue Mays, told the court that while he was visiting family in Ohio just after the murders, she overheard her father saying, quote, "I can't go back to Florida because police are looking for me because I killed some women," end quote. She continued telling the court that her father had also told her that he had murdered a woman near Madeira Beach, Florida. Why would you tell your daughter that? Why? 2 of Chandler's cellmates from jail also testified against him. One claimed that Chandler said, quote, "I'm not the only one that ever uses duct tape, but it's easy to tie someone up with," end quote. The second told the court that Chandler said, quote, "If the bitch didn't arrest, I would not be here in jail," end quote. Oba Chandler was found guilty of all 3 murders and was sentenced to death on November 4th, 1994. At his sentencing, Judge Susan Schaefer told him, quote, "Oba Chandler, you have not only forfeited your right to live among us under the laws of the state of Florida, you have forfeited your right to live at all. Mr. Chandler, may God have mercy on your soul," end quote. In an interview, Judge Schaefer later described Chandler as, quote, "a man with no soul. It's the worst case, as far as he defended without saying grace, that I've ever handled. And I represented plenty of people who were not necessarily good people," end quote. Since he was already on death row for the murders, prosecutors spared Judy Blair the emotional heartache of going through a rape trial. Although he was suspected of several more similar murders, no additional charges were ever brought against him. On November 15th, which is my daughter's birthday, and it's coming up soon, on November 15th, 2011, Oba Chandler was executed. His last words were, quote, "Kiss my rosy red ass," end quote. His written statement wrote, quote, "Oba Chandler, last statement, you are killing an innocent man today. November 15th, 2011, Oba Chandler," end quote. Again, sorry, this isn't funny, but he had capitalized every T. 3 years after his execution, DNA evidence proved that Oba Chandler had murdered 20-year-old Ivelisse, I don't know her name. I will put it on the screen. He murdered a 20-year-old girl. I am so sorry. I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name because I can't. Her body was found in Coral Springs, Florida in 1990. Chandler lived just a mile away at the time, so he was a serial killer. And I heard about this case, so I knew exactly how this was going to go. I thought this was the case of the 3 women that went, it was in the 80s or the 90s, and they've been missing ever since. Like, I don't think their bodies have been found. Like, they are just missing. And I'll put that on my screen as well of the case that I'm talking about. I thought that this was this case. But anyways, that is the ending of the video, and today's lesson that we learned is do not go anywhere with someone you do not know, especially in the middle of the ocean. Please don't, where you can